All right, so we've made our bass line and we've got our drum beat. It's time to start layering up some other sounds to make this sounds start sounding like an actual song. So what we're going to do is start with a chord progression. Now, a chord progression is two or more notes played at the same time. So it's kind of think of like a piano or a guitar player. They might play chords in a song. That's what we're going to do here. We've got to create a chord sequence. If you remember back to the bass line, if we go back to that, we chose our root notes, so our fundamental notes. So we were going through A, and we up to the E, then moving up to the F, and down to the C. All right. So we added some bass movement around that as well, avoiding our movements of fourths and fifths, and then also set up some other little melodic movements here and there, but also making sure that it's a simple rhythm that's not too busy. We're not going to create a bass line, it's going to be a feature of the song. It's going to just be the foundation for our chords and maybe a singer to sing over the top of. So let's go back. Let's create a MIDI track for our chord progression. So create that and I'll rename it as chords. Okay, create a MIDI clip and now we need to load up our sounds. So I'm going to create this Rhodes sound. Right, if I load that onto my instrument rack, we've got it there, and now we're good to go. All right, so we're going to have to refer back to our key signature. All right, we're writing in the key of C. All right, so all the notes along on our C key is white keys. Um, so it's fairly straightforward. When we're creating a chord progression, one thing that we need to think about is what notes to choose. So as I said before, we had an A on the bass, then we went to the E, F, and then C. So that are our root notes. So we're going to build chords off of our root notes, and what we do is we build our chords from our key signature in thirds. So what do we mean by thirds? So we count up three notes um, and we select every third note along the list. So if we start on A, we go A, B, C. So that's one of the notes that we'll put into our chord. So I'm going to do that now. So if I go get my piano roll under the chords menu, okay, here we go. So we had an A. I'm going to put that in the first bar. All right. So we're just dealing with one bar here. So an A. And then we had the C. So we selected the C. Now, if we go back to our key signature, we're on C. We can use this C down here as well, or that C. So we're on C, so we count up another three from C. So C, D, E. Okay, so E is our next note. So we've got our E. Now, for now, start with three note chords. You can do two note chords or even four note chords built in the same way. So just going up in thirds. And if I want to add a fourth note, I'll just build a fourth note a third above the D, keeping to the key signature that we're working in. We're just going to go with three notes to start with, and we can add more complicated sounds later if we want to. Changing the length of our bars because we had a 4-bar sequence in the bass line. What we're going to do is build our next chord. So I've got our A chord here. Let's just listen to that. All right, try that again. There we go. All right, so I've got our A chord. Now the next note along was an E. So let's find our E note. And we're going to play that for a whole bar. And we're going to build up in thirds. So E, F, G, and G, A, B. Okay, so then moving along to our third bar, we had an F. So we're going to have our root note on F and then build up in thirds. So F, G, A, then A, B, C. Oh, sorry, F, G, A, and then A, B, C. right, so G, A, B. Okay, good. Okay, now the final chord is the C chord. So going down here to C, C, D, E, and E, F, G. All right, so we have our chords. Let's have a listen to the result. All right, so they work. It works quite well. But there's one other thing that we need to do with our chords, and that is to create a smooth part, or what we call smooth voicing. So with our chords, we now take the notes and we need to look at the relationship of the notes to the chords next to them. So you can see here my first chord starts really low, then jumps really high. Okay, and so that's not very smooth. So I've got some options here. I can either take the highest notes and move them down to the lower octaves, or I can move the lowest notes and move them up to the highest octaves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my middle two chords, the top two notes, I'm going to take them down to the lower octaves. So I've got a B here. Let's just slide them down. There we go. All right, so there we go. So now you can see the relationship between the first chord in the bar one is a lot closer to the notes of the chord in bar two and bar three. And then finally, if we have a look here on the final chord, we can see that G note is sticking up a bit higher, so I can just move him down an octave. All right, so now we haven't changed the notes. We're still using the same notes, but we're just smoothing out the movements between the chords to make it sound smoother. Let's have a listen to it now. Now I see I made a mistake. There we go, that's better. There we go. All right, so there we have it. We've got our chord progression. So just thinking about the building off of your root notes in thirds across our key signature, and then once we've placed them out in our on our piano roll, making sure that we've used the smooth part writing technique. Okay, smoothing our voicing out is really important with our chords. So have fun exploring, experimenting. Make sure that you also try out multiple different sounds with your chords, because some sounds will give a different vibe than others. But yeah, have fun and play around with that.